Hi, I'm Susan Kagan. I'm one of the yoga instructors at the YWCA. And today we're going to do a gentle yoga class. We'll be doing a half-hour practice together. So make sure that you have your yoga mat or a blanket so that you can use that in your practice. It's good to have a room where you can be undisturbed for the next 30 minutes or so. And we'll be going through a very gentle workout that helps to stretch the arms and the legs, stretches the lower back, some gentle spinal twisting, and then we'll do a little 5-minute relaxation period at the end, which is really important, so make sure that you give yourself that time at the end. So as soon as you're ready, we'll begin. Good afternoon and welcome to our session of gentle yoga. Let's begin today by being in an easy seat with legs crossed if that's comfortable for you, perhaps elevating the hips up on a blanket. Get the hips a little higher than the knees and sitting with a nice tall spine. And let's begin with just a few easy and deep breaths. Let's inhale completely and exhale, press the palms down. And again, inhale fully, exhale. And once more, inhale those arms up. And this time, leave the arms right here and take the left arm and bring it down to the side of the mat. Just arch over, looking up at that upper arm. And now inhale the arm back up to center, exhale the opposite arm down, just leaning gently, gentle side bend, inhaling up. Once more on the other side, exhale that arm down to the mat, and inhaling up. And last time on this side, exhale down, and inhaling both arms up, and exhale, hands to heart center. And from here, just rest the palms on the floor right in front of the ankles. And we're gently going to begin to walk those palms forward, just gently edging out just to the point where you feel that your hips want to lose contact with the mat or the blanket. And when you feel that, that's where you're going to stop in this stretch. And just soften the upper body. And just take a couple of breaths here. And as you inhale and exhale, you may find that you can gently increase that stretch a little bit. Just play with it. And now on your next inhale, begin to walk the hands over to the left side of the body, towards that left knee. And again, stopping when you feel that right hip wanting to pop up off the mat. That's the edge of your stretch on this side. And just a couple of breaths here. Nice relaxed shoulders, relax the neck. And then inhaling, walking the hands all the way back through center, all the way around to the other side. And finding the edge of the stretch on this side, just where that hip wants to come up and off the mat, that's the edge. And taking a couple of breaths here. And now walking the hands all the way back to center. And then walking the hands gently back in towards the body, coming to a seated position again. And go ahead and extend the legs out long for a moment, maybe pat the thighs out a little bit. And this time when you recross your legs, cross them in the opposite direction that you usually do, which seems pretty awkward for most of us, but this will help you to have your hips become equally open on both sides. And so starting with a tall spine, once more, hands in front of the ankles, and we'll begin to walk forward gently. And noticing that perhaps you have a little bit less space, a little less stretch with your legs crossed in this direction. It's not good or bad, just interesting to notice. And then gently walking the hands over to the left, keeping that right hip pinned right to the mat. And taking a couple of breaths here. And as you inhale, walking the hands back through center, all the way around to the other side, finding the edge of the stretch on this side of the body. And then inhaling once more, walking all the way back to center, and then gently walking the hands back in towards the body until you're fully erect again, stretching the legs out long, patting out the thighs a little bit. And then just bend the knees so you can swing them around to one side. And let's come up into tabletop pose. And always taking those few extra moments to find your way into tabletop, meaning that your knees are about hips width apart, and the knee is directly below the thigh. Wrists are directly below shoulders. And if you sneak a little peek in the mirror, you can check to see that your back is nice and neutral. And from here, we're going to begin some cat-cow motions to open and warm the spine. We're going to use our breath to make this motion. So just as you begin your inhale, let your belly drop, lift your heart, lift your gaze. And just as you begin to inhale, exhale, tuck the chin and pull that belly upwards. Inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the heart. And exhaling, tucking the chin, pulling that belly way in up towards the spine. And let's do about 5 more of these. And noticing that you can make this curve in the back as deep or as gentle as feels right to your spine today. So listen to your body. And always use the breath to make that motion, arching upward and downward. And let's do 2 more. And then coming back to a neutral back and gently pushing yourself back into child's pose, letting the hips sink towards the ankles and either leaving the arms stretched out in front or bringing the arms around to the sides by the ankles. And just taking a few breaths here, making sure that your head is resting either on the mat or a blanket. And on your next inhale, gently rising the upper body upwards, walking the hands back into tabletop, finding that nice square and neutral position in tabletop pose. And we're going to work on some arm and leg extensions to help with strength and balance. And always remember, when you extend that leg backwards, you never want to lift it higher than hip height. And if you're going to add the arm in on the extension, make sure that you try to keep the body nice and square, hips level to the mat. So a lot to think about. Always inhaling from the all-4 position. And as you exhale, press that right leg back. The left arm comes forward, reaching through toes, reaching through fingers. Taking a breath here. And then bringing the palm and the knee back to the mat, back to all 4s. Inhaling. And as you exhale, press that left leg back and the right arm comes forward. Being mindful that the hips are level to the mat and your gaze is downward. Exhaling, coming back to all 4s. Taking a breath. Exhaling, pushing right leg back, left arm comes forward. Taking a full breath in the extension and exhaling back to all 4s. Inhaling from all 4s, exhaling, pressing Left leg back, right arm forward. One breath here. And releasing back to hands and knees. And let's do one more on each side. Inhale and exhale, press back. Reaching through the fingers, reaching through the toes. Exhaling back to all fours. And last time on the other side, inhale, exhale, press left leg back, right arm forward. One full breath here. And then exhaling, release back to all fours. And gently press back into child's pose for just 4 or 5 breaths. And on your next inhale, begin to walk the hands back in towards the body, curling the toes underneath. And very slowly and very gently, we're going to roll up to standing. Coming up nice and slow, unrolling one vertebrae at a time. Seeing how slowly you can come all the way up. And when you find yourself in standing, let's take a moment and put ourselves into mountain pose, into Tadasana, starting by looking down at the feet, and those big toes are either touching or a couple of inches apart. And see if you can spread all 10 toes out wide, lifting all 10 toes up and off the mat. And while they're still spread out nice and wide, setting all 10 toes back down on the mat. Gives you a nice firm grip with the feet. And then tucking the tailbone just a tiny bit, letting the ribs come up and out of the hips, drawing those shoulders upwards and letting the shoulder blades just roll down the back. And your arms will come out slightly, and your gaze is straight ahead and smiling and breathing. Let's take a couple of breaths right here in mountain pose. And now let's inhale and bring the arms up long, really reaching through the fingertips, exhaling, pressing palms down. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhale, press down. Inhale all the way up, and this time taking the left wrist by the right hand, and as you exhale, just letting the body bend to the right, maybe turning to look upward through that top arm, and the body is still firmly in mountain pose, the lower half of the body, and inhaling back up to center, switching your hands, and exhaling left, and inhaling back up to center, switch the hands, exhale right. Just a nice stretch through the side body. And last time, inhale up, switch the hands, and exhale to the left. Inhaling back up to center, and as you exhale, bringing the hands to heart center, and taking a breath right here, right back in mountain pose. So go ahead and release the hands, shake out the arms a little bit. Let's continue to loosen up the shoulders by inhaling and shrugging the shoulders way up high. And as you exhale, just let them drop down. Let's inhale up and release. Let's go 2 more times. Inhale and release. Last one. And release. We're going to do some very gentle forward folding. And the first forward fold of the day is always super soft, kind of like a rag doll. Always think about the knees being soft and relaxed. So start by having nice soft knees. We're going to inhale to get lots of length in the spine. And as you exhale, soften into those knees as you fold forward, coming down just like a rag doll, letting gravity pull the upper body downward. And make sure that those hands have a place to rest, maybe holding your elbows or your thighs. Just make sure the hands have some support, keeping the knees nice and soft, and maybe shifting the weight ever so slightly forward on the balls of the feet. And now bending the knees even more deeply as you inhale and softly roll all the way back up to standing, all the way back to mountain pose. And we're going to do that in a little bit of a flow. We're going to use our breath. So each breath will be a motion, and each motion is a breath. And we'll flow with this 3 or 4 times. So let's inhale up And as you exhale, fold forward, nice soft knees. Inhaling, come halfway up to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhaling, come all the way up to standing, arms overhead. And exhaling, hands to the heart. And taking a breath right here. And let's go again. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Taking a breath right here. And we'll do 2 more. Inhaling up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Take a full inhale and exhale. And last time, inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to the heart. Beautiful. We're going to work a little bit on triangle pose today. So let's step wide on our mats. And when we talk about standing in a wide straddle, that usually means for most of us that the length of one leg is about the distance that you want your feet to be apart. So kind of a benchmark. And the toes can be pointed straight ahead or even slightly pigeon-toed for some more stability. And then think about rolling the outside edges of those feet into the mat. That really gives you a nice firm stance. So we're going to do a wide straddle fold from here before we go into triangle pose. So let's begin by inhaling up for lots of length in the spine. And as you exhale, bringing the hands to the hips and folding forward just from that hinge in the hips, coming down just to your edge and making sure that your hands are resting comfortably either on your hips or your thighs, perhaps the floor, wherever you can comfortably reach and be supported. And let's take 3 breaths right here. And on your next inhale, bringing the hands back to hips, gently coming all the way back up to standing. And let's work on triangle. Let's start so that we'll do our triangle facing this direction first. So turn those front toes out nice and straight. Turn the back foot in about 45 degrees. And if you were to look down at the ankle on the front foot and the instep of the back foot, they should be in a nice straight line with each other. That gives you a nice firm base. And the hips are squared to the front. Inhale the arms up to shoulder height. And as you exhale, begin to hinge forward until that hinge won't let you go any further. And then open up and down into your triangle. And make sure that bottom hand is resting somewhere on the thigh or the knee. And you can either look up at the top hand or look straight ahead or even down at the floor, whatever's most comfortable on your neck. And let's take another breath right here. And on the next inhale, bring the upper body up, bring that front arm all the way up and over, slide that back arm down the back thigh, getting a nice side bend, gazing upward toward those fingertips. And one more breath here. And then bring that arm over the top, both arms down at your sides, and bring the feet back to facing forward. Get that nice firm stance again. And we'll do another wide straddle forward fold before we do triangle on the other side. Let's inhale up, lots of length in the spine. Exhaling, hands to the hips, and folding forward from that joint right in the hips, just to your edge, and finding a place for the hands to comfortably rest. And let's take 3 breaths right here. And on your next inhale, hands come back to hips, rising slowly all the way back up to standing. And then we'll turn the other direction for triangle on the other side. So turn that opposite foot, toes straight ahead, back foot coming in 45 degrees, lining up heel and instep, hips facing forward. Inhale, arms up to shoulder height. And as you exhale, begin to hinge, hinge, hinge over that front leg, and then open up and down into your triangle. Think about the chest being open, pushing back with that back foot for stability, and taking one more breath here. And on your next inhale, bringing the arms up and over, letting that back arm slide down the back leg. Front arm comes up and over. And one more breath here. And then inhaling, bringing that arm up and down. Swivel those feet back around to the front, and then softening the knees. Just gently heel and toe those feet back in together. Maybe step it out a little bit. Nice job. We're going to work a little bit on balance. And I always offer the wall as being available, but we're doing a fairly gentle balance pose today, so yogi's choice. Let's start by using our right leg as our balance leg today. So you really want to snuggle that foot into the mat, getting a nice firm base, little tiny micro bend in that knee. And then let's come up on the toes of the opposite foot. And this is just knee balance. So depending on how your balance feels today, this may be the pose for you. And if you find that you feel pretty stable and solid here, you can begin to experiment with lifting that foot off the floor, leaving the knee bent. And the good news about knee balance is if you come out of the pose, you can just start over again. Sometimes it helps to hold on to the knee. And it never helps to hold your breath when you're balancing. And if you come out of the pose, just pick it up and try again. And then gently release that leg. Let's just walk it out for a minute. And we'll go to the other side, because usually one side is easier than the other. I don't know why. So let's snuggle that left foot into the mat, a little micro bend in that knee, and coming up on the toes of the opposite foot, and finding your balance right here. Sometimes it helps to find a little place to gaze at 4 or 5 feet in front of you. And then when you're ready, experimenting with lifting that foot off the floor, maybe holding the knee, and noticing whether balance is easier or harder on this side. It's different every day. And remembering to breathe, not to hold our breath. And then gently releasing that leg and just walking it out a little bit. Very good. We're going to come down to the mat, but to come down to the mat, we're going to use a little more balance and a little more strength. So what we're going to do is have our knees and our toes pointing straight ahead. It's so important in this pose. And if you can, coming up on tiptoes, and maybe using your arms out in front for a little added balance, and then just pressing into those thighs, seeing how gently and slowly you can lower yourself in the direction of the floor. It's okay if you hear a little snap, crackle, pop, doesn't mean anything bad. And you can either stay right here, or we can work a little bit more on that strength, pressing into those thighs, coming back up, staying on toes if you can. If you can't, no big deal. And then let's go down one more time. Make sure those knees are pointing straight ahead. Nice straight back. And this time when you come down, reach for the mat. And let your bottom come down to the mat. And just put the feet out in front with the knees bent. Nice job. We're going to work on some abdominal strength. We're going to work on boat pose, Navasana. And there are lots of modifications that you can do with boat pose. Some are challenging, some are a little simpler. So listen to your body and do the modification that's right for you today. So starting with feet on the floor, knees bent, just hold on to the front of the knees and begin to lean the upper body backwards until you begin to feel a stretch across the abdominals. And this may be your boat pose today. For a little more challenge, you can release the hands so that you can lean a little further back. Or you can experiment with picking the feet up and off the floor. And the more you extend the feet and the body, the more you're going to feel that pull through the abdominals. So whatever modification you're choosing, we're going to breathe and smile for 3 more breaths. The smiling part is super important. And one more breath. And then bring those knees back in, set the feet back on the floor. Fabulous. We're going to come all the way down to our backs now. Let's do that gently. See if we can slowly ease ourselves down to the back without a big flop. And once you get all the way down to your back, it may feel good to hug the knees into the chest, giving yourself a little squeeze. And if it feels good on your lower back, you can make that tiny, gentle little rock from side to side. And then bringing the knees to stillness, go ahead and set both feet flat on the floor again, leaving the knees bent. And then walking the heels back in towards the body so that if you reach down with your fingers, you might be able to tickle the backs of your heels. And we're going to do a couple of very small and gentle bridge poses. So you want to tuck your chin just slightly in the direction of the chest. And you want the feet and the knees to point straight ahead. And by using a little gentle pressure on the soles of the feet, as you inhale, you're just gently going to press with the feet, lifting those hips maybe just a couple of inches off the floor. And remember that you're using the strength of your abdominals and your thigh muscles to lift you and to hold you in bridge pose. And you just want to breathe smoothly and evenly. You don't have to come up high, you just want to concentrate on keeping those abdominals engaged. And we'll take another breath here. And on your next exhale, see how slowly and gently you can lower the hips all the way back to the floor. And then gently pressing the full length of the spine into the mat when your hips reach the floor. And then we'll go up again. So as you inhale, gently press with the soles of the feet into the mat, maybe lifting the hips just a few inches. Using the thigh muscles. And just smooth and even breaths. And one more breath here. And as you exhale, very slowly and very gently lowering the hips down all the way to the mat. And once they reach the mat, gently pressing the full length of the spine into the mat for just a moment. And then drawing the knees into the chest again for a little squeeze. And that gentle rock from side to side, if that feels comfortable on your lower back. And then bringing the knees to stillness, release the feet and stretch the legs all the way out long on your mat. And then bending the knee of the left foot, left leg, draw that left foot in until it comes up just inside of the right knee, and setting the left foot on top of the right knee, putting the arms out to the sides for a little balance. And then just begin to roll that left leg over the top of the right for a gentle spinal twist. And if it feels good on your neck, you can turn your head away from the twist, away from the bent knee. And if that's uncomfortable, then just leave your head in a nice neutral spot. And breathing gently into the twist. And then inhaling that knee slowly back up to center. And releasing that left leg out long. And then bending the right knee, bringing the right foot inside the left leg, setting the right foot on the left knee. And then bringing that right leg all the way over to the left side of the body, twisting in the opposite direction. And turning the head away from the bent knee if that's comfortable. And just a couple of smooth and even breaths into this twist. And on your next inhale, gently bringing that knee back up to center and releasing that leg out long. And now please inhale deeply and fully, stretching both arms out long over your head. Stretch your fingers, stretch your toes. And as you exhale, just let it all come out through the mouth. And once more, inhale deeply, stretch the full length of the body. And release. And just gently let the arms begin to float down to the sides. And let the body begin to make any wiggles or small motions that it would like to make. The body knows exactly how to realign itself. And then very slowly letting the body become still. And releasing all control of your breathing. Just let the breath travel freely. As you very gently soften the entire length of the body, let it soften into the mat.